Okay, hi folks. Let's let's get started and let's build that soundbite generator then. So okay, let's update you then. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to build basically a sound recorder, which will record I guess a 5-second video or actually an audio, and then we'll put it on S3, and then build a listing around it as well. And yeah, let's start with that. I want to do a whole lot of other things with it, but yeah, let's start with that. So the first thing to do is get rid of everything on my desktop. Okay, so the first thing to do here is create a React app, right? So let me install create React app. Yeah, and what we'll be using actually is the media recorder. So I did a little bit of research on this, and this is what allows us to take the user media, which is basically their device's microphone, and then record the audio. And yeah, this is what we'll be using, but the only caveat here is that there's no Safari support. So this will only work in Firefox. It even works on Edge and okay, and Firefox and all of the other browsers, but not Safari. So it won't really work on iOS devices as well. Hopefully there would be a soon support for this, but for now it doesn't support it. Okay, so we have create React app installed. So we'll do a create React app. We'll call it bytes. Yep. Let me also bump up the font on the terminal. I'm not sure if anybody is there on the stream, but yeah, it would certainly help if I get some feedback on how my audio and how the screen resolution and the font sizes are. So let me quickly check. Okay, I also think the screen is actually a bit off. Let me see if I can fix that. So we'll do fit to screen. I guess that should be fine. Well, I'm not sure if it's readable or not. Yeah, it seems readable. Alrighty. Yeah, I have to make sure that I don't sort of put text behind my webcam, so I'll be cautious of that. Okay. Yeah, so hopefully the stream should be a less CPU intense this time, since we are not doing anything with Drupal or Docker or PHP. So this is purely just Node, and then we'll just use VS Code for this and nothing else. So things should be better. Okay, just do your thing. Come on. So meanwhile, I think it's a good time to sort of figure out my AWS IAM as well. So I haven't really looked at it in a while. So I'll have to figure that out. Okay. Probably use a different account. How do I sign out? Yeah. So yeah. Let me just quickly sign in first on a different screen. Okay, so I'm logged in, and we have the app ready as well. So I'll open it up in code. Bump up the font a little bit as well. So here what we want is IAM yeah, so we have this user, we have admin access, so that should be fine. Although something seemed off to me. Yeah, okay, so we want to get new credentials. I don't recall how to do that, so I'll have to figure that out. How do we generate new keys? Security credential seems like the right one. I think this is the access ID. I can just delete it and probably create a new one, right? Without making it visible on the screen. So I will put it here, actually keep it here on my screen, so that I can use it. You will probably use it as environment variables, and that should be fine. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Although, like I will need to figure it out on how we'll expose it to other places. But yeah, let's see how it goes. So yeah, so now let's go back to VS Code. Okay. The next thing is let me also put a browser next to it. So let's go full screen. Yeah, this should be fine. Let's say just go next to, come on, sit next to VS Code here. Okay, this should be fine. We don't need such a large browser, so we'll probably do this. And let me do a npm start. So apparently, okay, there's already a server running, so let's stop that. Okay, yeah, should be good now. So in here, let me open localhost. How come this is not working? Localhost 3000. Take this back up here. Make this smaller. Something like this. Okay, so we have this React application. The first thing I like to start with is just getting rid of all the files that I will basically not use. So or at least not used to start with. So I don't want app.css, app test, index, the logo, the service worker, and the setup test. Some of the things we might add later on again, but for now we don't need them, so I'll just get rid of them. In the index file we don't need the index.css, the service service worker we don't need either, and in app.js we don't need logo css file, and we'll get rid of this header altogether. So we'll just put a sound light recorder. Hopefully, yeah, this should start working, right? Okay, now what we want to do is we want to start using the API. So we want to use a media recorder API, and for this we want to get the user's media and specifically ask for audio stream, pass it to the media recorder, record the audio, and then record the audio and then probably send it to the server to save it, right? So we'll probably be using netlify functions to save the audio to S3, and yeah, I think that should be it. But let's start with recording the audio. So for that we probably what we probably need is a button where we can say start recording, right? So let's do that. So let me add a button. Let me also change tabs. Yeah, so we want to add a button which says record basically. So we have this button. When I click on it, it should start recording, right? So to know whether it's recording or not, maybe let's store it somewhere in state. So I'll say use state, we'll say recording, and we'll say set recording. By default it is stopped, so I will keep it stopped, right? And then we'll probably want to show this button only when the recording is stopped, right? Only then we want to tell it to record. So I'll say recording is equal to stopped. So this is fine, this won't for now change. So I'll add a click handler, say on click. This will be a record click handler. We'll define it up above. So we'll say whenever this handler is called, just set the recording value to currently recording, or rather just recording. If I click on it, the button goes away, right? But what actually we want to do is if it's recording, then we want to show something else. We want to show the stop button. We'll say like if recording is equal to recording, in that case show a button that says stop. On click, stop, and let's define this stop click handler here. We'll just use the same method from above and just change the value of set recording to stopped. So recording, it shows the stop button. If I click on stop, it shows the recording button again. Okay, so this should be fine, but then it isn't really recording anything. So the next thing that we want is whenever you click on record, you want to ask permission from the user to basically for the browser to access their microphone, and then start recording, right? So we'll say navigator.get user media, and then we'll want what do we want from here actually? How do we doesn't seem to change tabs. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, actually it's media devices, and on that I want to do a get user media, and then I'll tell it I specifically want the audio, so I'll make it true, and this gives me a promise, or it, yeah, actually it gives me a promise. So if we check the types on this, it says like it gives me a promise of media stream. So I can probably do a await on this and save it as stream, but await won't work because this isn't a async function, so I'll make it async. So right now we have a stream. Now what we want to do is we want to take this stream and pass it to media recorder. So media recorder creates a media recorder object given a media stream. So this is a media stream that we have here. So all we need to do is we want to do a media recorder would be a new media recorder. There's no auto completion for it because the media recorder API isn't really stable yet. So either we have to manually install the types, which I'm not sure if there are any. There could be, but yeah, I think it's fine for now. So yeah, so media recorder, if we take a look at its constructor, where can we find that? Yeah, here's the constructor. It says here it is, but I'm not really sure where it jumps to. Is it okay? Is it this the properties that it takes in? I am really doubtful of that. But like from the example here, it just takes in a stream. So I think like we can roll with that for now. So we have a media recorder here, and media recorder basically has a bunch of methods on it, and some of them you can see here: start, stop, resume, pause. So I think like we'll probably work with start, stop, and play, pause, or pause, resume. So we'll look into these, but let's start with start and stop. The issue that I see right off the bat is like if I have this media recorder object here, I might not be able to access it in the stop handler because it's in a different closure. So I'll probably store this mr using state for now. I'll say recorder and set recorder, and I'll say use state. By default it's null, and then once you have the new recorder, you could probably say set recorder to mr. This will store the reference to mr, and then but the primary objective of this record method is to record. So I'll say mr.start. So this will start recording, right? Let's add some spacing here so it's easier to read. Let me also quickly take a look at the Twitch side of things. Okay, while I do that, it seems the stream seems to be fine. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I have this record button. Come on. So if I click on it, that's weird. It didn't ask me for any permissions, so I'm not really sure about it. So let me, yeah, but you see there's this recording thing going on. So let me do this. Microphone, it says allow. Let me say like always ask. So refresh. By default it doesn't do anything. So if I click on record, yeah, it does ask for the permissions here. Now I'll click allow. So it seems to be recording, so that's good. Now this isn't really consumable, and I'm not really sure what it's recording or whether it's properly recording or not. So let's let me not go full screen. Actually, let me just do it like this. So this should be fine. Yep. So let's make this a bit smaller. Yeah, this should be fine. And then here what we want is to get the start is already actually working. We want to get the stop method hooked up as well. So we'll say now that we have this recorder thingy going on, we'll say recorder dot stop. Yeah, yeah, I think that should be it. So recording, it says you can see the mic here, and then I click on stop. So I still see the red icon here. I still see the mic being used. So I'm not really sure whether it really stopped or not. But what we can do is, so on the media recorder, there are certain events. So there's this event called on data available. It's called as soon as you stop. So, and you can basically take all the data that you have aggregated over this time and probably just use it, right? So this is something we will hook it up in, I guess, in the recorder itself, because we are sort of defining the media recorder and everything here. So we'll probably do media recorder dot add event listener. We'll say is the data available? Yeah, data available. So we'll use this event. Let's actually go to the complete documentation. So on data available, it basically is getting an event with data on it, and we are just pushing chunks in an array. So what we want is a array. So we'll say like chunks. It actually can be in const as well. So we have a chunks array, and then as we get data on this, we will do chunks dot push e dot data. I think this should be fine. Hopefully it should be fine. This will keep pushing chunks to it. I'm not too sure if this is the right place to call it, whether it's the right place to call it in the records, the record click handler, but let's go with this. Let me also do a once we do this, let me also do a console.log of chunks just to see if it's really doing something. So opening up the developer tools, we start recording, we stop recording. Okay, immediately I get a blob, which seems like a WebM audio, that is like around 1800 bytes. So that looks interesting. Yeah, the next thing that they suggest is like as soon as so this is like once you have the data available, and then there's a stop handler as well. So once you have stopped, you basically create audio element, set controls on it, and then create a new blob using the existing chunks with this type of codec. And then okay, alright, so we could probably try this. This basically says that just take the data, convert it into a URL object, and then pass it to a audio element as a source. So let's try that. We can probably do another add event listener, which is stop. I would eventually want to move it out of this record to a separate handler or a separate function in itself rather than just doing it inside the record method, but let's do it for now. Let's do it just here. So the way they are suggesting is to do basically like create an audio element, right? So I think we want an audio element on the page as well to get started. So I'll say audio, we want controls on it, and we also want a source. So the source by default is nothing because there's no source as such, so probably this should come from state, where we will store this window URL, create object URL blob, right? So let's convert it first and then store it in some state. So I don't think we are using E anywhere. We can probably get rid of it. So I won't create the audio tag controls and all. We are just interested in this bit, and we have to figure out how do we, or where do we get this bit from, is what's important. So okay, so we already have chunks here, so I think we have that sorted. We can do new blob, pass it the data chunks, or is it chunks, and then do we need to specifically mention this, considering that it's already there? Also, this seems to be changing the codec from WebM to OGG, so I'm not really sure about this. So how about we just skip it, because I assume these would be already defined. We save it as okay, for now we'll save it as audio, and then audio blob perhaps, because this isn't consumable audio right off the bat. And then we do audio URL, we do window dot, perhaps just directly URL dot create object URL and pass it the audio blob. And then we store this audio URL in state, right? So we want const audio set audio use state is by default null. So we say set audio blob, audio URL actually. So this should be fine. Let's get rid of this console log. So now I can probably put this here. So I'll say audio, and we can also wrap this within this condition that only render this when we have some audio on the screen. Okay, so 1 2 3 4. Oh, nice. So this immediately shows up. So 1 2 3 4. Okay, so 1 2 3 4. Okay, it was quite simple, right? That did start recording immediately, so I guess we are good there. So 1 2 3 4. So yeah, so this is working nicely. What I want to do is I want to log this, what kind of URL it's generating. We could probably see it here in React Developer Tools as well. So yeah, it does store this blob, and this blob doesn't have, I don't think it has, it's just a URL. Yeah, so I'm not sure how we would be able to use it, or how we would be able to pass it to the server, but let's come back to that in a bit. What we want to really concentrate on is adding the other functionality, the play pause. Yeah, I think let's start with that. So now that it's recording, right? So let me refresh the page do a record, I immediately get a stop. I don't get a pause option, right? So if you see record, I immediately get a stop. I don't get a pause option. Record, I immediately get a stop. Yeah. So whenever it's recording, right, I should see a stop option and a pause option. So we want to add one more button here. I'll call it pause, and then I'll wrap it in fragments. Yep. So if I start recording, yeah, but I don't want to name them the same, so I record and then I get two options, right? Pause and stop. So similarly, we want to create a pause handler. Just copy pasting the same thing again, probably up here. Pause, and then the state would be pause if you click on it, and we'll say pause just to check if this is the correct event handler. Yeah, it is. So now if I do this, I can pause, and if I do a pause, right, because we don't handle state for the paused, we don't handle the pause state, everything goes away, right? Because the record button shows up when you are stopped, the recording button shows up, the stop and stop shows up only when you are recording, right? So actually what we want to do is we want to add one more condition here. So when you are recording, show pause, I think we want to do a condition here. Or we could do it down here, but then the problem is like it will start showing, it will just show the resume button, not the stop button. So this is fine in recording state. You could probably do a ternary here. So if it's stop, show the recording button, show the record button. Otherwise, show this. I think this should be fine. Yeah. So stop goes to recording. If I go pause does nothing because this is a else condition. So anyways, it will continue showing this. But then we want to add a condition around pause button again. So one more condition around this. So I'll wrap it in curlies and say like if recording is paused, then show the pause button. Otherwise, show the resume button. I think that should be fine. So I'll make it resume. So it's recording. Okay, right off the bat it shows okay, yeah, so by default it's not really paused, right? So we want to show resume only when it's paused, otherwise just show pause. So I think this should be fine. So I record, I get a pause and stop option. So if I stop, I go back to recording. If I record again and click on pause, I get a resume button, right? So that looks fine. But we also want a resume event handler. So I'll just copy pause, paste it in here and say resume. So once I resume, it will again continue recording. So the state would be recording. The method would be called resume as well, and I have to use it here. So I am recording 1, 2, 3 and I pause. So in this time nothing should be recorded, but immediately after I click resume and continue talking in the audio that would be recorded, there shouldn't be any break. So 5, 6, 7, 8, stop. Okay, so basically, like in this audio clip, nothing should be there shouldn't be any break as such. I am recording 1, 2, 3, and like 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I am recording 1, 2, 3, and like 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so yeah, this seems to be working. Like the API is pretty straightforward, so that sounds fine. So we have this the recording thing working. Let me see how long have we been in okay, it doesn't really tell me how long the stream has been so far, but yeah, maybe it shows on Twitch. Let me check there. Twitch.tv. Yeah, it says 38 minutes. Okay, so we still have some time. I'm thinking like probably like by end of 1 hour we'll just stop the stream and then continue next time. Okay, so we have recording with play, pause, and all of that working. I certainly don't like the way it looks, but yeah, I don't think that's a priority right now. So the next thing that we want is we want to figure out how we will save this, right? Or how we would send this to the server. So right now I can't really use the URL, right? And from my research, it seems like Netlify, you can't really, like if you're using Netlify functions, you can't really send it files directly. So we'll have to convert it to base64, right? So we have to basically convert the blobs instead of into URLs. We have to convert them into base64. I think we'll still do this, the URL part, so that it's the audio player is working here, but we also want to convert it into base64. So this blob or these chunks need to be converted into base64, right? So that is something we'll still need to figure out, like how we can do that. And then also I also want to clean up the record method, because like it actually should have been just this thing, right? Taking a reference of MR, but yeah, we'll do that in a bit. So for now we will have to search for how to convert blob into base64, right? So I'll say like blob to base64. Yeah, so you see like there's create object URL here. Okay, so they suggest a new file reader that reads as data URL, but okay, this is object URL. Okay, and then whenever it's done, it will store, we'll basically get the reader dot result once it's done reading. And yeah, that should be it. So this probably goes here. So we'll say like new file reader, we'll call it file fr, right? And then we'll say fr dot read data as URL. So we'll pass it yeah, you just pass it the audio blob. Okay, and so while it's reading, we want to add a event listener. So we'll say fr.add event listener load end, I think. so that like all the loading has been done. And once that is done, we want to store this data somewhere, right? So earlier we were storing audio URL somewhere, right? So we are storing the audio URL here. What I want to do is I want to store it as an object now. So I'll say URL like this. It does. Okay. Yeah. This has a comma here. Okay. So now to use the audio here, I'll say audio dot URL, and then similarly here as well dot URL. And now to this object I can add more details, like probably just do I think we can do the set audio part here only rather than doing it twice. We can do once the load is done, we can say data button, I guess, fr dot result. So that should be fine, I guess. Let's check. Okay, something is breaking. Is it? Yeah, it does seem it's called URL, but it says like it can't really find anything on the audio property. Audio seems to be null to it. So we can probably add like another check, like if audio is there and then audio.url is there. Yeah. Okay. So we'll record and then stop. So if we look at our state, we have, yeah, so it's a bit difficult to look at, but let me make it a little bigger. So we have the URL, which is the blob URL, and then we have some data here. I'm not sure if, oh, okay, there's a lot of data. Okay, it seems like it's storing it. So that's good. Now that we have the data, so what we want to do is once you record, the user should get an option to send this data across or basically like save it somewhere, right? So let me add a button basically to say that do you want to upload it or not. So as of now this is very rudimentary, but we'll fix that. Like we'll make this a little bit better. So here what we'll do is we will add a button, like we said. We'll call it just upload, and then a click handler, say upload, right? And let's define it here. So we'll say const upload, or I think this should be fine, or at least for now it should be fine. In this, while we are uploading, we want to get the audio.data and send it across, right? So let's set up our netlify function first, so that it's easier to test things. So we'll say functions, we want to create a upload.js file. This would be exports.handler. This takes in an event, right? And we'll probably just do a console.log event. Yeah, I think this should be fine to get started with. So let me kill the create React app server and just use netlify dev. So instead of port 3000 it uses 4848, so that should be fine. Now whenever I click on this button, right? So like I record something, I pause and then I stop, so I get this upload button. So right now it doesn't do anything, but what I want to do is I want to take this audio dot data and then post it somewhere, right? So the way I'm thinking of doing this is doing a fetch rather than a form, because this is a React app that's more closer to it. Using fetch, so I'll say in the .netlify /functions/upload. I'm not really sure whether it's upload or upload.js, but yeah, let's go with upload for now. And we want to pass it some data. So the data that we want to pass is like a body, which will be data, which would be audio or data, and then yeah, I think we want to stringify this. And now that we are sending data as JSON, we can set headers as well. Say content type is application JSON. Yeah, and also telling it that the method is post. Okay, comma here. So let's make it await on this and then make the upload function async. Okay, so this looks fine so far. I record blah blah blah, stop, and then click upload. Okay, so immediately I see this error while proxying request, something something something. Okay, I am not really sure what this error is. Can we invoke our functions? It says function directory is not defined. Did you forget to set it in netlify.toml? Okay, so let's do that. Let me create a netlify.toml file. Functions is functions in the, probably put it in build. I don't really recall whether it's double braces or single braces, but yeah, let's see. So restarting the netlify server again with the toml file, refreshing, recording again, 1 2 3, stop, and then clicking upload. Oh, nice. Okay, so we immediately see that I think we can also probably set this detail is base64 encoded, but yeah, so I think if we somehow tell it that it is base64 encoded, it would automatically convert it back, I think. Yeah, can we do that though? Okay, for now let's just get the data, see if we can get it actually. So this is part of body, so event.body, let's log that. Clearing the screen, clicking upload again. Okay, so we get the body here. It is JSON, so we can do a json.parse and store it as, like, from this we want the data property. I think there's just one property, right? Data. Yep, so we want data from this, and then we could probably just save this file, because we know like it's a webm file. We can save it with a random name, we can import fs, and we can say fs write file sync, let's say download.webm, and then pass it data here. So if I click upload, did it not click? Okay, yeah, you immediately see that we have this webm file here. So but it is storing this as base64, right? So that might not work because we want to convert it back to binary rather than base64. So to do that, we can say buffer from data. I'm not too sure about this, but let's see. Yeah, let's delete this file to check if it really is working. So upload again. Yeah, it seems still like a base64 file, so let me get rid of or restart the server basically. Click upload again. Okay, let's delete this file first. Refresh, do a new recording, click upload. So yeah, I don't see any changes in here. Okay, there's also this string which I'm not sure should be there or not, so we need to figure that out as well. What if I delete this? I don't think it makes any difference, but okay, let's actually open this file. Let me undo those changes. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. What if we get rid of this? No, not the whole thing. Yeah, nothing. That's weird. So what we want actually is base64 to webm, decoding base64 webm video in Node.js. Okay, so yeah, it uses multer, which we don't have the provision to use, but yeah, okay, it does seem to be splitting at comma. The first comma is here, and then it's taking, then it's basically taking the remaining part. Okay, and we have to tell that it's encoding it, it's basically decoding from base64. Okay, so I'd say base, oh, this is the right file, we want to pass it in here. Yeah, we get an autocomplete option as well, so this is good. What we also want to do is get rid of this line, so I think we can do it similarly. We can say, like, probably do a data dot replace, no, rather data dot split on the comma, and we'll say we'll take the sliced chunk, right, and we'll put it here. This should be fine. Let's delete this file altogether. the function has reloaded, so that is fine. Let's refresh this again. Let's do recording 1 2 3 stop. Okay, the file doesn't seem to have been generated. That is odd. What just happened there? So recording 1 2 3. Yeah, okay, recording it happened just fine. I'm not sure if it's sliced properly or not, so let's log what it sliced out of it. Okay, it's certain. Okay, this time it did store something here, and now it says that it's either a binary or unsupported text encoding, so that is good. If I play this, so recording 1 2 3. Yeah, okay, so the recording is working as well. Okay, yeah, this is good. We are making some progress here. So although like I don't really want to store the file here, I'll delete it. We now want to upload this to S3. I think yeah, let's do that, and with that we can wrap this current stream. So earlier I had my AWS thingy open somewhere. I'm not sure where, or if I still have it or not. Yeah, I do. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to use AWS S3 Node.js. What is the most appropriate package to use for this? Creating and using S3 buckets, managing permissions, working with. Okay, maybe let's start from here. Although we don't really want to create a bucket, right? So we want to do something completely else. So this suggests using SDK, setting a region on it, from the SDK using S3 API version, listing buckets. Okay, how about we just, I can actually manually create the bucket, so that shouldn't be a problem. The only thing that is important is, or let me actually do that first. Let's create the bucket. So we want to create a new S3 bucket. Yeah, so we want to call it sound bytes. This is US East 1. I will keep it close to my location, which is Asia Pacific, Mumbai. I don't want to copy any settings. I'll just manually configure it. This doesn't need to be changed. I don't want to block any public access. I'll say yeah. Yeah, I acknowledge. Yeah, I do want to make these objects public, so that is fine. Or rather, yeah, I'm not really sure whether I want to make the bucket public or just get the public URLs. Right, like we can probably get the public URLs and keep the data. Yeah, I guess we can start with this in terms of so the 4 settings are that public access to the bucket and object granted through new ACL, block public access to bucket and object granted through any access, block public access to the object granted through. Yeah, I think like let's keep it public for now. We'll figure it out later on then. So with this we have our bucket, the sound bytes bucket. It says objects can be public. This says public, so let's see like how this is configured. So the permissions is okay. How come? Yeah, let's see here. So it has the same settings here as well. I'm not sure why this is different, but yeah, we can figure it out in a bit. So we have this bucket, it's called sound bites, and now we just need to figure out like how to use this bucket. So we have the bucket here. We want to do is uploads. Documentation seems a bit limited here. Access, configuring, working with policies. I don't really want any of this. Okay, maybe just uploading files to S3 with Node.js. We have the access keys, S3. This is fine. Doesn't really talk about permissions as such, but okay. S3, then use the ID and secret here. So then he uses the create bucket, which we don't want to do because the bucket is already there. Then we have upload file, which takes in a file name, file content. Then it takes these parameters, bucket, cat, body, which is the file content, and then it does a s3.upload. Okay, so we want to do s3.upload. So let me install the SDK first. So we'll do npm i AWS SDK. And we will import it. So we'll say const AWS require AWS SDK. Yeah, and with AWS we get S3, so we could probably just do S3. Right, so this should be fine. And what we want to do is we want to do s3.upload, or is it manage upload? It's actually none of that. It is, how does he refer to S3? Okay, so we have to create an instance of S3. So we'll do new S3. That takes in the configuration, which is basically API key and access key. So access key ID, and then secret access key. Okay, so these two parameters it needs. What I'll do is I'll put them in my environment temporarily, and then yeah, we'll just use them for now. So let me figure out where that window is. So this one, I think, yeah. So bringing it here, copying the ID, so this one is seek. Actually, I can just do secret access key. I won't do it on this screen, so just move this window. But let me add these quotes first. So copy, paste, copy, and then paste. Yeah, so that should with that the key should be there. I can probably just do now. I can do const process.env AWS access key, and then the other one is AWS secret access key, right? So we can probably just use these here and here. So this will give me a new S3 object where I'll have the upload method available, hopefully. So I'll say s3.upload, and what this takes in is a parameter object, which is a put request object. So let's see, this is required, these are optional. So this takes a manage upload option, this is a callback. Yeah, but it doesn't return a promise as such, so you'll have to rely on callbacks here, I think. But that should be fine, I guess. Okay, so what this takes in is bucket. I think the bucket was called sound bytes. The other thing that we need is, so key is required, even body is optional, right? So that's a bit weird. We don't have a name yet, so probably we would want to prompt user to put in a name for the file, but for now let's just do a sound byte math.random .webm, right? So this should work for a bit, or maybe just do like a, other than this, just do a new date, right? So this is actually better. You could probably do new date to a string or to Unix. I don't remember what the exact method is, but let's see. So new date to Unix, or rather to or we could do a date.now as well. Yeah, I think date.now is better. So we'll do date.now. What else do we need here? Do we need anything else from the parameters? Key we already provided, bucket name, and okay, obviously the body as well. So going back here, we need the body, and I want to see like what kind of body do they want, like what is the data type. Okay, so it says like it can be a buffer, a uint8 array, a blob, a string, a readable. So we can probably provide it a buffer, because I think we already have a buffer, and yeah, that should be fine, right? Like we have this buffer here, although it's not saved anywhere. So we can, since we don't want to save it on disk, we can just take this buffer, store it as a buffer, right, and then use it here, and I think that should be fine. 3 parameters are enough in this case, so we can get rid of fs as well. This now upload basically gives me, okay, it has a callback, but it also returns a managed upload. What is managed upload? So managed upload is a class which has a enable. Okay, so it can do promise, yeah. So if I do promise, then I now have a promise, so I can probably do async here. I can await this. And what does promise return? It returns manage upload send data, which is location, bucket, string, all of that. But is there a way to so this is all I have now. Location is URL of the uploaded object. Okay, so we can probably do a try catch here. We should probably wrap this whole thing in a try catch. So we'll say return status code 500, body would be e.message, or rather json.stringify e null 2. Yeah, and then we'll get, what do we get? So we get location from here, so we can probably for now just do a console, or rather return it. Status code would be 200, and then body would be location, right? So location I think is a string. Yeah, so that should be fine. Okay, so this is a whole lot of things. I'm not sure if this will work, but this seems straightforward. Like we checked up till here if the buffer is working or not. So buffer was working. We are just checking now the upload part with S3. So refreshing the app here. Let's make it move to the left side. Yeah, and record. I can pull up also my developer tools, then say stop. So nothing happens here. Let's play the recording. Pull up also my developer tools, then say stop. Okay, so the next thing to do is just click on upload. That will send a request to Netlify functions. The Netlify function in turn will take in the data, parse it, and send it to S3, hopefully. So you see we get a request. Upload is still pending, so either it's uploading or it's doing something basically, right? Okay, so we get an error, right? So the error says that it timed out. Now the first thing to do is check if we have something on S3. So if I open the, although like if it were uploaded, then it will probably not throw an error, right? So I'm not sure if it uploaded anything. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, so this certainly didn't work. So let's look at the error in detail. It says task timed out. Okay, so it's basically a timeout of 10 seconds that Netlify functions have. Okay, so I'm guessing this is the part where it's taking too long, right? So if I do like console.log buffer, so we are awaiting on this upload. So as such it looks fine. Let's add a upload done here. Clearing the screen, clicking upload again. Let's clear this first. So upload. Okay, we get the buffer immediately, but then this said invalid error. Okay, so something is invalid. So it says credential error. Okay, so this is from AWS, missing credential in config. If using config file set, okay, could not load credentials, let me check if the environment variables are correctly set or not. So let me do it here. Let's say env. So do we have the AWS? Have I exported those? I'm not really sure. Export AWS. Yeah, these exported things look fine to me. AWS access key, secret access, all of these two look fine to me. Let me log them actually. AWS key, AWS secret access key. I'll move my window here for a second. Okay, yeah, I see. So right now this is what I'm getting undefined and undefined, so which means it's not really able to access these, right? So I probably need to stop this shell and start it again. Let me do ntl dev. I can probably just get rid of this console log. Yep. Let's try upload again. So this time what response? Okay, we did get a 200 response, although like I'm not sure if we did get a link as well. So if we open the link in new tab, did I open the right link? Copy, paste and go. Okay, it says access denied, which is not too bad. If the file is there, we can probably work with that. So where is our bucket? Let's go to the bucket, overview, refresh. Yeah, we see a file is here. It's 44 kilobytes, so that is good. Says XML file doesn't appear to have any style information associated with the document tree shown. Okay, I'm not sure what the issue is here. Okay, and also like the file isn't really public, right? So now if I click on it, yeah, it downloads then. So pull up also my, oh yes, great. Okay, so the audio is working. The only thing is that the bucket isn't or the file that is uploaded isn't public, right? So you'll have to see if there's an option to do that. So if I look at the upload method, and it takes in the put request, so we have ACL, we have body, bucket, cache control, content disposition, encoding language, length, MD5, all of this. I can't really tell if anything is relevant here. Maybe let's just search for it. So I'll say no, nice. So it says that the ACL, you need to add an object, input object, ACL, canned ACL. Okay, so is there an ACL in here? We were looking at upload has put object request and it has an ACL. The ACL is basically of type object canned ACL, and it can be okay, one of these, right? So we want public read, so we'll say here, we'll say ACL is should autocomplete, but it's not. So I'll say public read. Let me get rid of that file we just uploaded, so that everything here is, although like we manually made it public, but I don't want to do that, the manual step here on any of these files. So if I go here, refresh the page and record 1 2 3 4 5 and then click upload. So it uploads, we get a response, we get a file as well. So if this time if I open it, it downloads the file. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this is all great. One thing that I want to change, even though it would be counterintuitive, is instead of WebM I want to save as MP4 or some other format that is directly usable in browser rather than it opening a file. So I'll probably just go to media recorder, because media recorder is recording the file. I'm not sure if this is something we can really change. Okay, so it says like create a new media recorder given the media stream to record options are available to do things like set containers MIME type, such as video WebM or MP4. Okay, so I think we can probably do that. So in the options object we have to provide it a MIME type. I'm not sure like what MIME type it takes, but let's see. So the options they are doing here is, okay, so we could probably do audio MP4, but then MP4 is not audio, right? So I'm not sure how that would work, but let's try. So if I go here, where is our media recorder? Yep, so we'll say, so to this we want to pass in MIME type, audio MP4 maybe. I'm not sure if this would work, but let's see. So okay, yeah, immediately it fails. MP4 is not supported. What about MP3? Pretty sure this won't be either. Yeah, so what is the support like then? They don't really call out use the codec parameters. Okay, so this is what we have. There's audio MPEG is what we want, right? There is OGG. Okay, apparently there are like a bunch of options. So there's 3GP as well. Audio MP4. This doesn't work, so I'm pretty sure. Let's see with this one. So one, okay, immediately it breaks. So how do they want us to use it? Okay, probably we'll have to check like what is the the type supported, but then here they are saying that for audio they just have WebM, right? So is there a media recorder like something like that gives me a listing as well? But yeah, such like you can see, like there isn't much that is supported besides WebM. So I think like we can continue working with WebM. Let's see like what the support is like. WebM. So Edge supports it, Firefox supports it, Chrome supports it, Safari only supports VP8 used in WebRTC. Okay, I'm not but anyways, like media recorder doesn't work in Safari, so that's fine. I think like the WebM support is decent, so that should be fine. Yeah, I think so for now. Let me get rid of this MIME type altogether, and yeah, I think we have our application. we can record something and then pause, and I'll speak through it, but this won't get recorded, but it will get recorded from here. 1 2 3 4 stop. So I can review the recording, and then 1 2 3 4 stop. Okay, and then I can click on upload. We should probably add at least like show this to the user, so that not everybody wants to go to this URL, right? So what we can do is while we are doing this fetch request, where is that fetch request? We're doing it somewhere, right? Yeah, so the upload. So here I want to set some state, so I'll say is uploading, set is uploading, and we'll set it false by default, so by default it's not uploading. And then once we click on upload, we'll say like set is uploading to true, and then the fetch would happen, and then after the fetch happens, we'll say set is uploading to false. From this we'll get a URL back, I guess. I'm not sure what kind of response do we get. Is it, let's just actually check. So 1 2 3, once I upload it, so I actually just get okay, this is my request header, so I am not interested in this. Response is basically so I probably want to convert it into either text. I think it's just plain text, so that should be fine. So we'll say const text is or rather link is equal to response.text, and then console.log link. Let's quickly check if this is working. Then if link is working, then we'll probably put it in state and then render it on the page. Okay, yeah, this should probably, we should probably await this. Okay, something is not right here. Is uploading. Okay, we'll eventually use it, so that's all right. Yeah, so it's text, that's fine. What we want to do is want to say link, or rather link set link use state. By default it's null. So here I think while you are uploading, is uploading, I want to say div uploading, otherwise show the button. So this should be fine. And then once we have the file, so we'll say like if we have link, then show a.href link, and then put the link here as well. We don't want a, I think this should be fine now. What is messed up here? Unexpected colon. So what am I missing? Okay, yeah, so or rather we can do double ampersand, that is correct. Did we not call set link? Yeah, we want to call set link here. link. I think we got rid of all the warnings as well. Yeah, looks good. So recording 1 2 3, pause, 4 5 6, stop, play. So recording 1 2 3 4 5 6. There was a brief pause in between. I'm not really sure what happened there, but yeah, I think should be fine. So upload, it says uploading, and then immediately we get a URL. I click on it. That didn't look right. So what happened there? I'm thinking like we get rid of this. This could be a problem. Yep. So 1 2 3 4, pause. Seeing something, waiting on it. 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, this is fine. Loading. Clicking on this should download the file. The file should play audio. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, yeah, this all looks good. Let me go back to the S3 bucket. And then here, or rather, sorry, just refreshing the page should show me all the files. I'll get rid of all of them. Now the next thing to do is, or the final thing to do is just to deploy it. We'll do ntl deploy -prod. So this will deploy my application, right, with the function as well. The only thing is that the only thing that we would need to configure is the environment variables on Netlify, but let's deploy it first. So I'll say like create and configure a new site. I'll say under my name soundboard. Pretty sure this won't be available. Yeah, it said like soundboard isn't available. So I'll say, actually we didn't want to call it soundboard anyway, right? So I'll call it what was the name? Soundbites, I guess. Yeah, that's available. So what we want to really publish is or let me actually do this. Let me just publish it on GitHub. I think that's easier for everybody to then later look at it as well. So we'll create a new repo. I'll call it soundbites. Create repo. Copy this bit. Do a git add everything. I think this should be fine. Let's take a quick look. We want this file. We want the login JSON file. We want the site ID as well. This is fine. Nothing out of the ordinary here. This file obviously needs some cleaning, but yeah, that can come in later. All these go away. This is fine as well. Yeah, I think all of it looks good, so I can say add the remote. And do a push. Okay, I need to commit first as well. Set up sound recorder and upload files to S3. Yeah. So you should see the files here. Yeah, I also want to fix this up quickly. Okay, so I think we have all the files here. I can now go to Netlify. And create a new site from Git using GitHub. Yeah, this one. So I think like it should figure out, or it should have figured out, but it didn't for some reason. But yeah, anyways, the command that we want it to run is npm run build, right? So you can say like the build command would be npm run build, and the published directory would be, I think it's public, or rather build. I don't recall like what exactly React calls it. It's build, so we'll call it build. And I want some environment variables, so the ones we are using are not these, this one and this one. So let's quickly move this over and add the details. Okay. Domain settings, site settings, environment. Okay, so apparently we can't use the key name this, so because Netlify internally might be using this, so we'll have to rename this. So we'll say I'll just append soundbite in front of these. I think that should be fine. Same thing here, same thing here. So I can in that case just do sp in front of this one, and access key as well. So the value here was this. Yep. So let me push these changes. Yeah, I will say okay. So oh no. Okay. So apparently we have some changes. I think like the update in the readme is causing this. So I'll say like origin master. This should be fine. Now this should cause a deploy to be run. I'm not sure why it's not creating a deploy. Is the the site connected to this? Okay, it's not. So let me connect that again. Sound buds. So deploy site. Okay. Let's take a look at Twitch till then. Okay. It's been a really long stream, I guess, so far. It's around like a couple of hours now. Yeah, almost a couple of hours. Come on. I still need to figure out why the recording icon is still there, even though we do end up stopping the recording. Probably check here till then. Okay, the deployment is done. I'll come back to the recording thing in a bit. So I want to see if the function was deployed. Okay, the function was deployed. I think the function is, yeah, I think it should work. Let's just look at the site first. So I'll start recording. Okay, nice. It asks for the permission, so I'll say allow 1 2 3 4 5 6, pause. 1 2 3 4, stop. 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4, stop. Okay, so this is good. Then we want to check the upload, which I'm not too sure about if the keys and all are configured properly. Doesn't throw any errors, so yeah. Okay, so we immediately get a file, download the file, play the file. Oh, okay. 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4, stop. And the 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4, stop. Okay, so this is fine as well. So I think yeah, I was earlier talking about the recording thing, so I need to look into this. I need to probably let's just add a to do in the readme. So what we want is clear recording on stop. So it's not really recording, but then the notification it shows, or the icon it shows, should go away. The next thing is user should be able to name their files. What else is something that is, yeah, okay. So I want to check if the webm file has all the metadata. The reason I say this is because if we look at this file, if I play on it, I can't scrub through it easily, right? So if I play, it plays fine, but then if I click somewhere, it restarts. So I'm guessing like some metadata is missing from the file. It could be probably that. And then we want to show listing of all the files from S3. So what the way I'm thinking of doing this is, we upload the file to S3, we get the location URL, and then we put it in Airtable. And Airtable, we sort of hold all the data. This seems counterintuitive at first, but then like once we add authorization and more details, probably at that time when we want to create roles and all, at that time it will come in handy. So we'll probably introduce Airtable there as well and use that as a API endpoint of sorts. So yeah, I think like, and then also like clean up the UI. So this is something I might do off the stream, because I don't think like it really makes sense to do CSS on stream unless I end up using some component system. So in that case we might do it. Also like my another goal is to move to Next.js so that the performance is better. The processing happens on the server instead of waiting for like say fetching files and all. Especially this part, this shouldn't happen on the client side. So this should, like if I open the home page, I should immediately see the files, all the files that have been uploaded. So yeah, so that is where Next.js comes in. I think like moving to Next.js isn't really a big task as such, like because we just need to copy paste this component and it should continue working. The important thing is like figuring out the hosting and all. I'm not sure what their plans are like as of now. So that's it. I'll just commit this and say update. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that is all. I'll probably take this URL and add it somewhere here. So yeah, this checklist didn't work, so let's fix that quickly. I think these need spaces. I'm not sure. Markdown preview. Yeah, it can't really tell. But get markdown to do list. How do you do that? I think it's with spaces in between. Yeah, spaces in between it. So to do this, and then you can also add probably add my Twitch URL for future stream references. And then yeah, I think that should be enough for now. Okay, I think this should be good enough. Yep. So alright, I guess that is all for this stream. Hopefully I'll catch you next time in soon. I'll be posting when I'll go live in with the next stream with these to-dos, probably by sometime later in the day. I'll post a tweet, and if you want me to work on something else, please let me know. Thank you.